What's up, folks? Positive Paul. It is January 13th, 2021. And I guess I'll lighten up today. At some point, we have to produce something that's useful to the public out there. And, what I find interesting is these old news reports, excuse me, specifically from the 80s. Now, this is a CNN cable news broadcast report back in 1985. Now, the reason why I'm fascinated by it, and hey, look, this is on YouTube. I'm just recording this for my own benefit to save it, but it's concerning electromagnetic weaponry as it relates to the military and maybe some of their uses of such weapon. But during this process, if anybody's listened to me, I always when these things occur, because this is some of the first public reporting concerning electromagnetic energy, and obviously, you can, take research further, deeper, try to get to the source, meaning, the Pentagon, the Defense Department, all these agencies that would have documents that would maybe give you a hint of what they're up to. But this is what I'm saying. This is actual. By the mid 80s, because of Reagan and his Star Wars, weapons defense system up in outer space, you began to see this reporting because, funding was necessary for all this R&D, so to speak. Now, the point is again, with anything you look at the timing of when things happened and why, behind the timing. I even, this is, look, with this sticky business of the reptilian shape-shifting analysis garbage, all right? When these freaks in nature start to have problems, look at what they were talking about and the timing of when it occurred. So here we are. This is a 1985 news report. Interestingly enough, it's the year I graduated high school. I should have been the class of '84. But more importantly, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's gonna totally circle back to the whole issue of this Montauk business concerning mind control and the ability of someone to control an individual through the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, the way this is developed, all right, this is some of the initial original reporting. And look, here we are, 2021. Okay. The R&M supercomputer, which is the biggest farce. And keep in mind, folks, I know there's something out there. Yes, these eggheads would love to have some, crazy supercomputer that is just gonna, guide everybody around in this so-called matrix, but the point is it's used for nefarious purposes at best to harm individuals, meaning humans, not hybrids. So this report, is like, it's all based off of the United States trying to stay in step with the Soviet Union, depending on what they were up to and what their advances were. So anyway, I'm going to just play this and then I'm going to save it for my own, benefit. But the point is, remember, Montauk crashed August 12th, 1983. And we're going to get back to that. I am everybody's worst nightmare. And I think by now YouTube understands that. No, look, people, again, you can come at me all you want, but nothing's going to faze me because it's a series of attrition and who has the truth. But watch this, all right? Now listen to this very first part, all right? Listen closely.
Imagine the implications of a weapon with no visible trace. A weapon that could knock out tanks, ships, and planes.
A weapon of no visible trace.
Technology with modifications could disorient and even tranquilize military personnel, rendering them virtually helpless in the battle zone. These are the new weapons of war we will examine in this series. For the past 40 years, the world has been riveted by the threat of nuclear war, and more recently by the prospect of space defenses using lasers and other modern technologies. But while both sides at the Geneva summit will be focusing on these matters, progress is being made in even newer weapons that could render any arms agreement relatively useless. Lightning is the most dramatic form of energy to be found in nature. Scientists have succeeded in creating limited types of artificial lightning, and some think that these could be the forerunners of a new type of directed energy weapon, part of a family of weapons which operate within the radio frequency segment of the electromagnetic spectrum, and are thus referred to as radio frequency weapons. Dr. James Frazier has researched electromagnetic effects for the Air Force for over 10 years.
Room
And he,
313.
like a small but growing number of weapons experts, feels that radio frequency, or RF weapons, could be the wild card in the ongoing arms race.
You could have tremendous amounts of radiative power. And
He's
what
squarely
you did with
eyeballed.
that power then is a matter of engineering design and what your goal is.
Robert Bass, a physicist and PhD in mathematics, is working on U.S. weapons research. He says that the Soviets seem to be ahead in a number of areas, and especially in RF weapons.
We are behind the Soviet Union in directed energy weapons based on 60 gigahertz microwave beams.
Dr. Bass and others feel the most likely form of Soviet RF weaponry would be high-powered microwaves, similar to a focused, ultra-high-intensity radar beam. It would literally cook humans and knock out computers and electronic surveillance.
Remember
and
what my leg
communications
looked
gear.
like the other night,
An
these
operational
assholes.
RF weapon, relatively cheap and reusable, could devastate sophisticated and expensive war machinery. The $20 million F-16 fighter, for example, is totally controlled through electronic sensors and computers. With no manual flight controls, the plane would literally fall out of the sky after being hit with a high-intensity pulse of microwave radiation. Scientists say that microwaves and other types of RF pulses operating at specific frequencies or windows can be transmitted with little or no loss of power. Machines known as gyrotrons can produce the massive pulses needed to drive these devices, and it's believed that the Soviet Union has a 3 to 5 year lead in this technology. Over the past year, CNN has repeatedly asked the Department of Defense and the Air Force about radio frequency weapons. After much resistance, DoD finally said that the subject was too sensitive to discuss. In my next report, unexplained cloud-like phenomena, which may be evidence of a Soviet breakthrough in RF technology.
Chemtrails, anybody?
Chuck DeCaro, CNN Special Assignments.
All right, folks. Now, with that being said, we always keep in mind, what are these creepy chameleon Canaanite, sad sack Satanist, lapdog Luciferian, foolish Freemasons worried about? They're worried about the star out of Jacob. And they know all about Numbers. Chapter 24, verse 19. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. Now here's the best part. And when this is Balaam's prophecy. And when he looked on Amalek and took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of nations. Now remember, Amalek's connected to Esau. But his latter end shall be that he perish forever. And he looked on the Kenites and took up his parable and said, strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Why is that, folks? Anything to do with these directed energy weapons that come from you-know-who? Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted until Asher shall carry away thee captive. Well, the point is, folks, is someone's got some dirty drawers. They're pooping their pants because they're not even sure when this is going to take place, but they darn well know we're getting pretty close. So let's just see what happens on January 20th. I read one of the most disturbing things, and I'm going to share that next, okay? So everybody, just be kind to each other. Keep your eyes to the sky and let God find his way in your heart.